The economic survey, interestingly, when speaking about driving employment, has made a strong case for deregulation, particularly at the state level. So they're saying that that will spur capital formation, it will drive employment, it will drive output growth. And let's just talk about really what the economic survey has spoken of on different sectors. We've told you what really it says on jobs, on unemployment. In our next report, we decode for you really the highlights of the economic survey, because that kind of gives you a blueprint of what really the government is looking at going into the budget.
ये बजट एक नया विश्वास पैदा करेगा, नई ऊर्जा देगा कि देश जब आजादी के 100 साल मनाएगा तब विकसित होके रहेगा.
Despite the confidence, the path to this goal of Viksit Bharat by 2047 is paved with challenges. The economic survey for 2024-25 tabled in Parliament by Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman warns of a steep curve ahead if the goal is to be met. The survey says that a growth rate of around 8% is needed for the next decade or two to achieve this vision. For this fiscal and the next, the economic growth estimates are deplorably short of this number. The manufacturing sector is still lagging, with private capex refusing to materialize despite massive SOPs by the government. Inflation, especially in food items, still remains high, and high prices are in fact pushing consumption to services. There is also threat from geopolitical uncertainties and rising global protectionism. The survey suggests some urgent corrections in the economy, some of which are likely to find their way into the finance minister's budget speech. First, ensuring more spending money in the hands of the consumer to spur demand. Second, big-time reforms and deregulation to improve competitiveness. Third, handling the jobs challenge not only with numbers but by raising workforce quality. Fourth, encouraging private investments in the infrastructure sector. And lastly, by improving price discovery and market efficiency in the agriculture sector. The economic survey has also red-flagged an issue first raised in a report last year, that of a huge mismatch between wages and profits. While corporate profits soared to a 15-year peak in financial year 2024, wages lagged.
A trailer today, full picture tomorrow, as Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman presents her 8th consecutive budget, where the country will look up to her for continued resilience and hope. Karishma Sudani with cameraman Jagannath reporting for Business Today Television, New Delhi.
Okay, so let's talk about really the elephant in the room, what everyone wants to know, whether in a few hours from now, 3 hours from now, you're going to have Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman talking about some income tax relief. You look at the numbers right now, it's definitely in favor of providing some relief. And we're breaking down the data for you from 2015 to 2016 to today. First, let's take you through the first 3 sets of data that we have, where the year-on-year change, you see from 16.9%, 11.8%, 2019 to 2020, it became minus 3.4%. But let's take you through the next plate as well, because there are, of course, figures here, which also you have to keep in mind is during the pandemic. But overall, the year-on-year change, 2024 to 25, is at 10.8%, and 38.4 lakh crore is the tax revenue, the gross tax revenue. So it definitely seems, looking at these numbers, the fact that you've seen a steady increase in that amount there, Sakshi, it definitely does seem that we are in a position, the government is in a position to go ahead and provide some tax relief now.
Absolutely, Akshita, and that's what the big expectation is, that you have to boost consumption, you have to get the GDP ball rolling, so you have to provide that tax relief at this point in time, and you're getting good tax collection, even though it's slowed a bit in terms of growth, both on the indirect and the direct side, but you need to incentivize those who pay tax so that more and more people can come into the tax ambit. That's one big challenge, that there is only a minuscule percentage of people that pay tax in India. That's another big challenge. But let's go across to Chetan Bhutani, who's right there at Vijay Chowk, a reporter from Business Today Television who tracks infra story, auto story very, very closely. Let me come to you, Chetan, and I want to understand from you. Infra, that's the big buzzword. Everybody is asking the capital outlay to be increased massively. Rakesh Nangia, our guest, pointed out 30% of an increase at least expected. Tell me, what could be the clear focus when it comes to infra? Which are the sectors that will be in focus in this budget? Where is the government going to be increasing the allocation this time around when it comes to the big infra story?
Well, absolutely, Sakshi. In the last 5 years, the union government has actually spent close to about, 54 lakh crore rupees, a massive revival of the capex story, and of course, the infrastructure story is on the cards. Well, again, Modi government's third government's first budget, second budget is actually being focused upon how the capex revival should be done. Because remember, infra building and highway building and railway building is, of course, three key areas where the government is absolutely being focused upon. Remember the union budget last year, in fact, allocated 11 lakh crore rupees for the coming year, and now we can expect another 6 to 8% hike for the highway sector. In fact, what sources have told Business Today is the fact that railway sector could get a precedence over highway sector this time around, because the government is clearly focusing upon getting more EPC contracts, developing more greenfield and of course more brownfield projects to ensure high-speed trains, bullet trains, and of course the Vande Bharat train, the flagship train program of the government of India, remains a true story. And of course, with a massive capex allocation, my sources are telling me a massive 13 to 15% hike is expected in this union budget for capex.
Okay, that'll be a welcome move. Chetan, thanks very much for joining us with those details. We'll keep coming across to you as we count down 3 hours to go for the budget. And just before we slip into a break, Sakshi, your number one expectation, what's the one sector you'll be watching out for in this budget?
Well, I would say, cut direct taxes, ease the tax burden on the middle class and axe that tax. We are a nation which is really overtaxed when it comes to a minuscule percentage of people. Incentivize those so that we feel rewarded, that you and I pay taxes, so that we will be happy that we pay the taxes. Right now what's happening, Akshata, is that you pay the tax and all that money is used by the government to probably get into those welfare schemes that does not help me or the middle class at all. Incentivize us in some way so that we feel good about paying tax. Something that happens worldwide. You pay higher tax, you get those benefits. Nothing is given to us by way of healthcare or education or insurance every place. So we are overtaxed by way of indirect and direct taxes, and that's my biggest task at this point.
I think you've spoken for every single viewer who's joining us on this broadcast, and so many who have spoken to you in the course of even our political coverage say exactly this. We pay so much in taxes, we're getting no development. This year, while it's happening, this budget is happening just days away from the Delhi election, is one of those years where you see the least number of elections. So let's hope that the focus really is on development. Let's hope that the focus really is, as the Prime Minister puts it, on ensuring a Viksit Bharat, because that essentially will mean that all of us also benefit.